week 9 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few running backs I would drop this week. The first guy, Devin Singletary of the Buffalo Bills. So Singletary, he's a guy I've had on the radar the last couple weeks as a drop candidate, and right now he's still owned in 68% of fantasy leagues, which is a little hard for me to believe here. He's failed to reach double-digit fantasy points since week 2 at Miami. So the last few games for him, week 5 at Kansas City, 3.30 fantasy points. Week 6 at Tennessee, 9.30 fantasy points. And week 8 versus the Miami Dolphins, 3.90 fantasy points. So right here, the numbers don't lie. These are even PPR leagues where obviously numbers get a little bit of a boost. But right here, he's only getting about 5 or 8 carries per game and 1 or 2 catches per game right now with Singletary. And we know this Buffalo Bill offense is a throw first and a run first with Josh Allen running the ball. And in my opinion, Zach Moss is the better running back anyway over there in Buffalo. And he's been out playing pretty much the whole season here. Devin Singletary is Zach Moss with double-digit fantasy games in the first 7 games of the season here. So right here, Zach Moss is the back to have over there in Buffalo. Singletary, he's just going to get a few carries here and there. He's not much of a receiver as well out of the backfield. And in my opinion, he's an easy running back to drop this week. The second running back's Rashaad Penny of the Seattle Seahawks. So Rashaad Penny came off injured reserve a couple weeks ago, and he's shown nothing so far, is Penny. Week 7 in his return versus New Orleans, 6 carries, 9 rushes. And week 8 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, 7 rushes for 7 yards, so 1 yard per carry. Alex Collins, he had a pretty decent game, only 10 carries though, 4.4 yards. But now reports are coming out that Chris Carson, he's probably going to come back after the bye week here. After Pete Carroll said last week that Carson possibly could be out for the season, now he thinks he could practice after the bye week here in week 9. So hopefully Carson could come back. But even if he doesn't, right now Rashaad Penny, he's lost in the shuffle in my opinion. He's not getting the job done. And right now in that backfield, it goes Alex Collins, Travis Homer's a third down back, and then Penny as a kind of a change of pace in between the tackles back. But right now he's owned in 25% of fantasy leagues, but he's an easy running back to drop this week, especially with the bye and the lack of production. And the third and final running back I would drop this week is David Johnson of the Houston Texans. So I thought David Johnson would be the man now over there in Houston, and they were going to showcase him in that ball game, but that wasn't the case. Rex Burkhead, former New England Patriot, got a lot of work in that game, and David Johnson, 2 carries, 4 yards with a catch for 1 yard in week 8 versus the Los Angeles Rams. So right here, I think they just might have played him in Arizona because it was his former team, and he had a pretty decent PPR day in week 7 at Arizona. 7 carries, 25 yards, and 5 grabs for 27 yards. But right here, we'll see if he remains on Houston with the trade deadline coming up in the next 15 to 18 hours here. We'll see if other deals go down. So far, we saw Von Miller get traded to the Los Angeles Rams, which is mind-boggling what type of defense they're going to have. And we saw Adrian Peterson as well sign with the Tennessee Titans. But right here, David Johnson's definitely a running back. If a team wants to take on the salary or the Houston Texans are willing to pay it off, that will be off this Houston team by tomorrow. Because in my opinion, there's no need for them to hold on to him. They're obviously out of the race. They sold off Mark Ingram last week to the New Orleans Saints, and that could happen for David Johnson. So right now, he's owned in 46% of fantasy leagues. But obviously, if he's not traded here to Johnson, I definitely would drop him. So that's a few running backs I would drop here in week 9 of the fantasy football season.